Hello everybody, it's Honey Lou. We're going to be talking about Thoth. I get lots of requests on if I could share some tips on how to get started with the Thoth, so I thought I got some books out. The books that I've read so far, and just share my thoughts and my opinions, and also I want to talk about like how I got started with Thoth and a little backstory. Anyways, I've been really obsessed on how to shuffle my decks like this now. I always thought that was something that, only small hands could do for some reason. I have big hands, but I just learned how to do it, and so it's been a lot of fun. But I'm like building new calluses on my hands, and my hands hurt. So anyways, let's talk about Rider-Waite-Smith first. So the Rider-Waite-Smith was the first deck that I got introduced to. I had my first deck at age 11, and the reason why is because I was born clairvoyant and medium. Like, I'm a medium. I don't even know how to use that in a sentence. Mediumship, clairvoyant, psychic, all of that goodies. At a young age, I was always able to predict things, and mostly it revolved around warnings or death. Death was a big thing that I was able to predict, and it was often scary. And I always hear this too, like a lot of people's stories are very similar of how, they found out that they were a psychic medium. And eventually my mom asked if I wanted to kind of explore this and if I wanted to get more involved, and so I said yes, and so she bought me a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I was like 11 years old, and I remember how big that deck felt, and it was a standard size, but it felt like the giant Rider-Waite-Smith because my hands are so small. But I was like a little bit shallow because for some reason I felt like, oh, if I was a psychic medium, I would be able to pick up these cards and I would be able to read them right away. And that didn't happen, so I ended up putting them away, and then they ended up getting lost. Also, I have ADHD. I struggle with staying focused, and I feel like, as I observed, and my observation is, I don't know if there was tests done or whatever, but I know that I feel that if you have ADHD, that is a sign that you are spiritually gifted. You could be clairvoyant, mediumship, and mainly it's because you're daydreaming a lot, and I feel like it's more like you are so aware of self-aware, awareness of people's energy. You are, it kind of sucks though, because as you grow up, you think it's so wrong, and you're different than everybody else, and you just want to be like everybody else. And that's the problem, is that as a society, we are taught that, if you're not doing daily tasks, if you're not doing what a normal person does, there's something wrong with you. And it really isn't. I mean, I think, eventually it needs to be more of in a balance of, accepting people for who they are, and how people have different reading styles or learning styles and learning abilities. And I feel like that should be more embraced instead of kind of shunned at. I always thought I was dumb because I was always just somebody that couldn't focus. And it was just because I was not interested in certain things and what people were doing. But I feel like, people with ADHD don't really realize that they are spiritually in tuned with energy and stuff. Because, you're born that way, so how are you going to know? You're just going to think that other people have it too. So I just strongly feel that if, ADHD is a sign of being psychic or just having really strong gifts, spiritually in general. But anyway, so I was 11. Tarot was always in my life, but not at the same time. So I had my first deck at 11. Sorry, I have a headache now. It's heavy now. I got rid of the deck, and then I had a tarot app, and it was a Rider-Waite-Smith app. So I did daily draws on there. Also, I used my iPad, and I would use this shuffling, and I would be like, oh, what do I need to know today? And I would click the music, and I had a lot of music, and so I would do oracles like that. And I didn't really realize I was using divination like that, but I strongly felt like it was, but I wasn't really aware that that's what I was doing. But I believed in it. I believed in the iPod shuffle. And then I would do it with my friends, and they would just think it was funny, and because it would be very accurate and stuff. And yeah, I had like a tarot app on my phone, and I would do daily draws, or if I had a decision, I would do a daily draw and I would read about it. So I was very familiar with it as I was growing up, but I didn't take the tarot seriously until I was 29 years old. And yeah, it was like weird because I was in rehab, and I was like, it was just like this aha moment where it just came out of nowhere, and I was like, I could read tarot. I'm gonna learn tarot. Why didn't I ever think about this? And so I was very adamant about just learning it. So, I was so bored in rehab, but we were allowed to have YouTube and Netflix and stuff like that. So in my room, I went on YouTube and I found tarot stuff. And so by the time I was gone, or like left that rehab facility, I already knew what decks I wanted to get. And there was some parts or some content people made about learning tarot and the meaning, so I kind of already had an idea of what the cards meant. And then I bought some books, and my mom again bought me my first tarot deck the second time around. But anyways, so with the Rider-Waite-Smith is a really great deck to start out with, mainly because I feel like it gives you the meaning of the cards, and so you could just start slow and memorize the meaning of the cards. But for me, as I was learning and I was reading all these Rider-Waite-Smith based books, and even with Arthur Edward Waite, like his book, it was just like, this is the meaning of the card. This is sorrow. This is hope, renewal. This is the Empress, the Creator, the Mother, pregnancy. Like that. And I'm like, okay, well, where is this all coming from? Like, I wanted to go deeper, and I felt like this was like, this is the meaning of the card, and that's it. Don't ask questions. It kind of felt like that. But I had so many questions. And then there was a YouTube video that came up, and I don't remember his name, but he was talking about how Thoth was the hardest system to learn. And so that intrigued me. And then, so after that, I was like, I want to get I wanted to get the Thoth deck. And so I ended up buying it. I was like 3 months into my tarot journey, and ever since then I never looked back. That's pretty much how I got started with the Thoth. Is I felt like I wanted to know more, and I wanted to know what this tree of life was. I wanted to know what this Kabbalah was, and I just wanted a deeper meaning of these cards. And Thoth was like this eye-opening experience where I got to learn about the good and bad. I got to learn about, our ups and downs in life, and I get to know that it's okay, and that it's part of the journey, and it's part of the process of, the journey of becoming your authentic self. We go through these conditioning phases, we go through these ego phases, trying things out, experimenting. And so as I was reading the Book of Thoth, I was like, wow, okay. Like, it felt like it hit me in my soul. Like, it just felt like it hit me in the heart. And I felt like it understood me. And this is where I was like wanting to get from tarot in general. And also it was very healing, just because, in the Book of Thoth, it explains the process of life and what we're learning and the karmic lessons we go through. And it's just part of the journey. And so these kind of trauma, or these moments I had in my life where I was really hard on myself about, and it was really hard to like forgive myself on certain things that I've done and mistakes that I've made. But I felt like it was such an eye-opener where I was able to forgive myself, forgive others, and it just kind of opened up my mind in a whole nother way. And so that's pretty much it. I just felt, and then also like love. It talks about, your true will, following your true desires, following your heart. Love is the law, love under will. That's just about following your heart, because your heart is always going to guide you to the right places. And there were so many times where my ego, or what I logically thought was correct, I was following that, but that was not my heart. That was what I thought needed to be done, or what I thought was right, but it didn't feel good. And so it's cool to get to kind of have a book that articulates the spiritual phases I go through and everybody else goes through. And so I feel like it's a very spiritual deck. I always felt like the Rider-Waite-Smith was kind of more of like an outer deck, where it's like the outer surface level. Not really surface level, but it's just like, after you learn the Thoth, you can go back to the Rider-Waite-Smith and you have a whole different meaning to the Rider-Waite-Smith. But it's just kind of the base of what Arthur Edward Waite was going to give me with his information, and what Aleister Crowley was giving me with his information. Like, the Thoth had more depth, and there was a lot of beauty in it, and a lot of like just beautiful literature, like lost literature, lost words, lost language that we don't get to experience anymore. Like how he's like, do what thou wilt, just like words like that is very beautiful. So yeah, 3 months my process of getting the Thoth. I never looked back. Let me show you my first Thoth deck. And I guess the reason why Thoth would be the hard deck to learn is because it's basically trying to articulate something that's not logical, if that makes sense. Spirituality is not logical. It's not something you could see or you could really articulate. It's more something that you feel and you sense. And so, just like example of the earth. The earth is floating in the air. There is that invisible energy that we can't see, but there's that energy field that is holding up the earth. It's there, but we can't see it. So, there's something there, there has to be. And like also with the Matrix, like we feel like the physical world is the physical world, like that's it. There's no spirituality, or there's no God, or there's, people are kind of small-minded to think that that's all there is. And I'm like, how can you not, right? And it's so crazy to think about like how we were created and how we're on this earth. Like me and my son, he's a Cancer, and we just always talk about it. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, even like how cool it is how we could make babies in our bellies, and our bodies already know how to make like the bones and the heart and the organs and the blood and the veins and the hair and the features. It's so crazy. It's so beautiful too. And so the Book of Thoth is pretty much like this, trying to grasp this idea of spirit and source and the universe and the alchemical process, and it's really beautiful. So anyways, my approach to Thoth was I felt like I didn't really have I didn't make content then, and so I felt like there was nothing to lose when I was learning the Thoth. It was more so of like, I'm just going to read this deck like the Rider-Waite-Smith, and nobody could tell me I can't, because nobody was watching me. And so I do have some like Rider-Waite-Smith like interpretations. I wrote some like interpretations of these cards, the numerology. Also, I wrote Sibylla, and I wrote Sibylla on here just so I can kind of compare those systems together. Like on the kings, I wrote, or the knights. The knights, I wrote king right there, so I know that that's the king. And then also the Outgrow Yourself Oracle, I wrote, don't just wish it, do it. Because I wanted that oracle, but I didn't want to spend the money on getting the words. Like, I thought the artwork was beautiful, but I just wanted it for its words. So I was like, I'm just going to write it on my Thoth deck. And then I have an oracle / tarot deck. Um, and then I put like clubs there for the wands, and yeah, so this is always so fun to look at. Also, I have like astrology correspondence. I have introvert up to 29, Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. And so I just wrote whatever I felt like I needed to write in case I just, needed a deck that had everything on it. I didn't need to go look at a book to figure out what this card meant. But if you could read the Rider-Waite-Smith deck already, you could read this deck and slowly learn it, slowly enjoy it. And I feel like that's the only thing that's pretty much intimidating, is just trying to logically understand spirit and something we can't see, and the alchemical process. Like, it's all confusing, but really it's not if you look at it a different way or a different perspective. But I would highly recommend doing this to a deck if you could afford writing all over this. This is the 2021 edition. It was the one of the earliest editions, not the earliest, but one of the newest editions, recent editions, not the newest one that came out, the 2023. This is the 2021. So yeah, this is a fun way. I even wrote all over this to try to understand what that card was. And another thing is, like, when you write all over the cards, it's cool because you are going to remember that moment you do it. Like, I can remember the time of the day. I can remember the smell in the air. I remember, like, what my mom was cooking that day. I remember what the kids were doing. And it was, like, later of the summer. It was, like, almost school time. I remember I was sitting downstairs with my permanent marker and I was watching YouTube, and I was just enjoying writing all over this. And I love it. I still love it. I love looking at it. I call this my Thoth Training Wheels deck, and I think it's really beautiful. Like, I think this is actually like a really beautiful set of cards. And also the smell of this deck is has this signature smell. Then, like, one of the newest editions has like this really strong papery smell that smells really good, and it's like pretty much this deck that does it. But I really think I love this deck. I love the card stock. Another thing that people like to do is trimming the deck. The trimming the deck is great too. Like, if you want to read more intuitively and you don't want to, you should develop your own reading style. I think that is the best thing to do, is developing what resonates with you, reading the cards with the way that resonates with you. Always stay open-minded to, other interpretations of the cards, and just like pick what resonates and pick what doesn't. And always just listen to your heart. If someone's going to tell you that you're reading the cards wrong, that's gatekeeping. You don't need to gatekeep. Just do it the way you want to and enjoy the process. Like, I still feel like I finally am getting the grasp of the whole concept of this deck and life and the Tree of Life. But I still have ways to go, but I still enjoy it, and I love it. I think it's gorgeous. I resonate with the artwork. I don't see myself using another deck. Like, honestly, like, I have a handful of decks that I use. I have multiple Thoth decks, and I'm totally content with that. And the reason why I have, more Thoth decks is because I use them all. And, I'm kind of thinking about the future. And, like, what if these decks prices go up? I've noticed that these prices have gone down. Some people are like jacking the prices up, like overpriced on Etsy. Sometimes you can find a good deal on Etsy, but I've noticed that the prices for greenies are slowly going down. That's what I've noticed. But I have these as backups because, you know what? I don't think I have a Thoth deck that's not used. No, actually I do. I have one that I'm actually selling right now, just because it's Christmas time. and they get extra money. So if you're interested in a greenie, let me know. It's a dark one. Well, I could show you what it looks like, but this is my used copy. Off topic again. So the other one that I have is pristine. It's downstairs. But this is my copy of that deck. It's very dark. You see the darkness, how dark the borders are. It's very beautiful. Yeah. So it's the really dark green, or dark grayish greenish. It's very beautiful. It's like kind of like a dark washed out denim kind of deck. It pairs the best with the Sacred Wisdom Oracle. Sorry, I'm getting off a topic. Then we'll go into books in a little bit, but like it pairs the best with this oracle. Yeah, it's a gorgeous deck. I love the cardstock on this one. Here's the backs. And yeah, this is not the one I'm selling, but it's the exact same version. That's brand spanking new. It's pristine. This is the one with the pink line that I love. And I believe, like, look how beautiful. And I love this this strength card in that pretty yellow. And I love this card too. Let me show you. This one has the pink line. So I'm always bringing different Thoth decks in my collection, and I've always feel like I'm always fluctuating. Like I'll get more, but then I'll always, sell more. I don't know. It's weird. It's like I like to have this certain amount of decks. I don't do it on purpose. It's more of like, well, it's not like I have this set stone, but it's more like a feeling. Like if I get another Thoth deck and I feel like I'm able to kind of release one, because I feel like if I don't, I feel like there's kind of stagnant energy that's built up for me personally. Like this is just me. Like I wish I could be somebody that could have a tarot library, but for me, it doesn't resonate with me, and I think that's fine because it's just, we're all different. And I resell these beautiful decks, and sometimes I even question myself. I question myself often. Another thing you could do with this deck is you could get the Hermetic Tarot. The Hermetic Tarot is nice because these keywords are pretty similar, and you could do daily draws. You could learn the Thoth system in 78 days if you want. If you take the time to do a daily draw. And a daily draw is nice because you could ponder on one card for 24 hours, and then you can go on to the next card. And that's nice because you're taking it slow. I mean, you feel like it's not fast enough, but really, that's probably the fastest way you could learn. For me personally, I'm very impulsive, so I like to use multiple cards, and I just want to keep reading, and I just go with how I feel. So I probably could have learned the Thoth a lot faster if I took it slow, did a daily draw. Daily draws are very profound and very potent. But yeah, these have very similar meanings. Okay, so let's talk about some books. So a lot of people's recommendations on books to start out with is Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot deck, Mirror of the Soul, and the Book of Thoth. Sorry, I have a headache. I wonder if I'm getting sick, because I'm just getting a headache and I feel nauseous and I feel weird. Hopefully I'm not, because I haven't been out very often. I don't really leave the house that much. Okay, so this was my first deck. The first Book of Thoth I have. I highlighted all over it. and I enjoyed this book so much. And honestly, like, this book is 285 pages long. 287, sorry. 287 pages long. You could finish that in the day if you want. That's actually a pretty small number. Usually because I do have ADHD, so I'm always looking for a book that's short and sweet, and 300 pages under is usually a book that I could finish in a day. 400 is a deck that I could probably finish in a day too, but sometimes that's pushing it. It just depends what I'm doing or how good the book is. But I could easily whip this up in a day. And, it's big fonts. It's pretty spread out. Like I said, it has this old literature, very poetic way of it being written. It's very beautiful, and I wouldn't say this is a hard deck or a hard book to read. It's more so that there's so much information that you have to absorb, and it's kind of hard to absorb it all at once. So when people recommend to read this multiple times, it's just because, the more you read it, you're always going to find something different every time you read it. And that was my experience. I've read this book 4 times, and I was always able to find something different. And I don't feel like I have that much Thoth books. And it's because I reread the books that I have. And, you can get off with just reading this, more than once, and you're good to go. But, it's always nice to have other books, other reading styles, because, this is like more of a different language. It's like a vintage Victorian, poetic, lost literature. Beautiful words, though. I think Aleister Crowley is a beautiful writer. It makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I'm reading Edgar Allan Poe right now, and I feel like, the same literature. It's like the old school literature with different wordings, and I don't know. I just feel like Aleister Crowley has like this bigger, wide perspective of life, and it's very spiritual. And he understands how things work, and he's observed, and he's had many trials and errors, and I don't know, I've just kind of noticed the different reading styles and how like more open Aleister Crowley is, and Edgar Allan Poe, like some of his stuff is like very, I don't know, I don't want to say it because he's like one of those famous, I don't know, I just need to keep reading it, but I just feel like his stuff is very not that open. It's more of like simple and small-minded. That's kind of mean to say. Okay, right now as I'm reading his stuff, it doesn't feel as big. Like I felt like I started with this big book with, it's talking about the universe, it's talking about alchemy, it's talking about this thing we can't see, and we're trying to articulate spirit and everything. So that's pretty much it. Sorry, I don't want to say that. But anyway, so yeah, the Book of Thoth, it's only 287 pages. Big words. This is the second printing. Right here, I love this. It talks about the point, the line, the plane, the solid. And, how like the fire, water, air, earth. And, it talks about, it's the tetragrammaton. And it's the reason, like, it just talks about why fire's first, and then why is water second, and then so you have fire as the point, and then you mix the water, so you get the line, and then you get the air, and it makes a triangle, and that's the plane, and then the fourth is like the 4 chairs, so you get the solid, you get the the matter, and then you get the fifth with spirit. Like you could see the stars and stuff with that star thing, and then it's motion, right? Nothingness, a something idea of matter. Fifth positive idea, motion. Idea of time only through motion. Number 6, the center of system. Self-conscious, capable of experience. Those are just some notes that I wrote. But yeah, I have always felt like this was very helpful to learn just about the tetragrammaton. I always get that mixed up. The Maria Tarot is great because you get this poster. The deck and wheel is very resourceful. Getting an astrology deck is very resourceful. Learning the astrology. You could even do the deck and walk that Marlena does. Even like the season of the witches, oracles with the different seasons. You could follow the seasons and do the deck and wheel. Like that would be great. The tree of life, learning about the abyss and stuff, like that's awesome. I will probably do a separate video about the abyss and what I've learned. Astrology is a main thing. Like I felt like astrology was very helpful, learning the Thoth, and understanding like, different archetypes involving astrology, like Mercury, the planet Mercury, Jupiter, and Chiron, and Lilith, and all the 12 zodiacs, and all that stuff is good. Like all of it is very helpful, and it's great. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, like if you feel called to, I think it's awesome. It helped me out. But you could always just be very simple and sweet and just, learn the meaning of the cards. Like if you don't have no desire to learn, to go more in depth of what the cards meaning, because you do get the meaning of the cards. Like this is surrender, this is hangman, this is, limited beliefs, you could just go by those meanings and you don't have to learn more. But if you're somebody like me that wants more and wants to learn about spirituality and try to articulate spirit in the universe and alchemy and all that goodies, like, this is one of the best books to read. But like I said, other Thoth books is nice to have because then it's more like a modern reading style, so you're going to understand it better with reading authors today regarding Thoth. And then also you could read other books and then you could be like, oh, that's what Aleister Crowley was talking about. You'll always read it. But I mean, like, if you don't understand what you're reading in the Book of Thoth, just keep reading it, and don't look back. Just keep going. Just keep reading it, and don't think anything of it the first time. And slowly you'll start to kind of understand it. Yeah, a friend taught me that. When I was reading the Bible, he told me just to read the Bible as a book and to not overthink it. Don't overthink it, just read it. But I would highly, 100% recommend reading this. I know a lot of people that do read Thoth and are really good Thoth readers, and it's their main deck as well. They haven't read the Book of Thoth. Like, this is something you don't have to do, but I strongly would recommend it. It's just beautiful. I always get excited to hear people's like experience reading this book and what they thought about it, and other Aleister Crowley literature is great. Like, I've only read a few of them, but I still want to keep. That's like one of my goals too, is just to keep reading more books regarding Thoth, since that's like pretty much the only deck that stays in my collection long term. I think it's probably more of my calling as well. Like, I feel like there's purpose for me in the Thoth system. I'm still figuring it out though, but I definitely could feel it, that there's something here for me, and there's a reason why I'm probably not like a normal collector, And it's kind of hard because I feel like I am a black sheep in a way, which it's all over my birth chart. I am a black sheep. So I always like question myself because I know that sometimes I do some odd things. Anyways, understanding Aleister Crowley Thoth Tarot deck. This is actually like a really good resource as well. I would suggest to read the Book of Thoth first and then read this, and then you could just kind of be like, oh, okay, that's what he meant. This is a good book, but honestly, it wasn't my favorite book. It really wasn't. It's short and sweet as well. You get modern language, so it's going to be easy to read. The introduction for me was a little bit boring because he talks about like, the how he got into Thoth, the reputation on Aleister Crowley, and talking about, this this deck reads really well, and he thinks Aleister Crowley's a genius just because of like how, because he was scared of Aleister Crowley, but then he started to read the book and read the deck. He started to understand like, whoa, this is good stuff, and then also like how he got into making this book on the Thoth. So the introduction was kind of long, but this stuff is nice and small. You get like a page, 2 pages on the major arcana. And then there's some stuff about the majors. You get all of these goodies about like the Golden Dawn reference, astrology correspondence, the dates, the titles like in the Golden Dawn, and yeah, so this stuff is very helpful to see. So you're going to learn like the Golden Dawn, a little bit of that, and this is like a good mixture of everything. I think this is a good start deck too, because you're going to get a little bit of everything, and it's not so, it's more gentle, I would say. It's gentle, but the Thoth is gentle too. So it's just a lot of trying to wrap your mind around spirituality and the spiritual awakening and the spiritual process and the ascension process and all those goodies. Okay, Mirror of the Soul is another favorite of people's. And if you're somebody that just wants to read the deck as it is and you want it gentle, you don't want to get into the esoteric-isk of it, and you just want to read it, this is beautiful. This is people's favorites. Personally, it wasn't my favorite, but this was the second book that I read on Thoth. I thought it was good, but it wasn't my favorite, if that makes sense. So it's it's like less than 200 pages long. You get like a page for each one, page and a half. Well, you get pretty much a page without the artwork. So you get the keywords, you get like the astrology correspondence, you get the visuals, you get the indication. You get the indication, you get the questions, suggestions, affirmation. So the reason why, I picked this for my second book is because I have ADHD. And I was like, oh, that looks small. I'll read this because I needed something to read and I needed to be grounded about something. So I read this and it's great. Another good like starter one that you want something a little bit gentle, but a little bit more. Not so much more, but I just like the reading style of this book. It's the Tarot Handbook by Angelus Arian. So this goes about astrology. This will talk about like divination meanings. So example, if you get like the 6 of Cups, we'll talk about this will happen in 6 days or 6 months. And that's very repetitive, but I like that it was repetitive because it kind of got it drilled in my head and understanding how I could look at the cards that way and read the cards that way. And so I love the paper on this book too, so it's very see-through. But for some reason I like that. Like I like the way this book feels. I read this in one day. It's short and sweet, but I love how big it is. And it like kind of hugs you because it's a very like soft book. You get nice symbols and yeah, it's pretty short and sweet. I liked her writing. I liked this author's reading style, and I thought it was a fun way to look at the cards, but it's very helpful. And it's an awesome approach to just get involved and learn the cards and read the cards. So yeah, you get pretty much like a page of each of the minors, and then the majors, you get about like 4 pages of each, which is nice. And then it goes through like the symbols, the visuals, meditative tools, affirmations, sun as the outer mirror, archetypes, the gifts, challenges, person, lifetime personality. But anyway, so this was such a really good book that I read it in a day. It was a summer like afternoon, and I just loved reading it. It was like the perfect day, and I just really I loved reading it. It was really good. One of my favorite books on the Thoth. I guess like every Thoth book that I read, I probably already mentioned it, that they're all really good. They're all great. This one's really good. So this is M. Kendall Lackey, Beyond as Above, So Below, Understanding Hermetic Tarot Through the Music of Maynard James Kennan. I did do like a kind of a review of this book before. This is great. So I didn't listen to the music. Sorry, now I can't talk because it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning now. This is really good. I didn't listen to the music. I loved her reading style. Again, you get big font. So this is going to be a great book to understand the Rider-Waite-Smith system, the Golden Dawn, and the Thoth. And there's like this cool little chart that she puts on here. It's page 13. And it goes through like just, the Rider-Waite-Smith base decks with the court cards, the changes, major arcana titles, and the differences. Strength and temperance and judgment, the differences between Rider-Waite-Smith and Thoth. Sorry, let me look at this for you so you could just see it real quick, and then you could probably like just pause it and look at those. And then right here it talks about Rider-Waite-Smith, strength, temperance, and judgment. And then Thoth is lust, art, and the Aeon. So there's the difference, but also they're kind of similar in some way. You still could read the Thoth as Rider-Waite-Smith. Do what thou wilt. Okay, and then the card orders, the number change right there. This is the switch of Hay and Tazadi in the Rider-Waite-Smith. So the Emperor is Hay, and then the star is Tazadi. And in the Thoth, the Emperor is Tazadi and the star is Hay. And if you don't understand what I'm trying to say about that, he's talking about the Hebrew letters and the tree of life. So you see the star is right here. In the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Emperor goes right here next to the Empress. But now the Emperor is down here. So Aleister Crowley switched the star and the Emperor because the star is more of a feminine. Hay means window. It's more of like a receptive energy. And the Emperor is fishhook. So he switched it because fishhook is to fish, to hunt. Also, you could think of it as like we've all were born and we all come from water. And so Empress is the water. She's the womb, right? And so you could think of it as like this pond and water of fish. The Emperor is able to fish out, what he wants. So he's able to grab that one thing he wants and he's able to bring it out into the world. So you could think of the Empress as like this womb of fishes. And the Emperor has a fish hook. And he could just, grab one. And so I read too that the Emperor, like you could think of it as like if he's reversed or the negative trait where he's overbearing, he's a control freak, he's possessive, he's not in control, he's run by his ego. It could be like, you could think of it as like he has too much things that he wants and he's not narrowing it down to one thing. So his eye is on like a bunch of things. So he's like squirrel, 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 And then so he's like, throws his fish hook out. He's like, oh wait, I want that other fish. So he grabs it and he's trying to catch them all. And he's not focused on that one thing. So he needs to focus on that one fish at a time to bring it out into the world. So that's a cool way to look at the Emperor as Tazadi, as fishhook. So yeah, also, he could be like a hunter, like to hunt for purpose, to hunt for connection, to find creator, to find source. Also, it's a very doer energy and just like a go-getter, so it's a more like a masculine energy. And that's the reason why it was switched. So right here, on this page, it talks about just the keywords in the Thoth and the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn has more of like a nice... I love the Golden Dawn's keywords, actually. After I learned the Golden Dawn, the Hermetic Tarot, the Golden Dawn's keywords, I was able to understand Thoth much better because I felt like the keywords just had so much more to work with instead of just like one word. So I would highly recommend getting the Hermetic Tarot and doing daily draws with Thoth, and it's great. So also she gives you like a little rundown on the Tree of Life, like a little short and sweet spot right here. She talks about the Fool's Journey, and then she goes through a bunch of stuff. I honestly felt like this was one of my favorite ones that was more in depth, and it gave you pretty much everything you need, including like how to read it, how to interpret the cards, the backstory on it, the Tree of Life, the astrology parts. So yeah, like most people would tell you to read the understanding of this one, but I would say go for this one. This one was my favorite. This one, like, I loved how it was written. It was so fun. It was just a good time reading this. This one's a little bit thicker. This one has like 400 pages. Yeah, 401 pages. But both of these are really good. But personally, this one's my favorite. Okay, so like in developing your own reading style, I would recommend this book, A Walk Through the Forest of the Souls, A Tarot's Journey to a Spiritual Awakening, Rachel Pollack. So she goes through basically, like, this book will teach you like the will, the chariot, developing your own reading style, and to go with how you feel and what resonates with you, and not listening to other people, basically. Yeah, so she kind of talks about like how like the tarot was formed with these certain meanings, but really we don't really know what the meanings are, if that makes sense. So the way you interpret the cards is correct, and you should go with how you feel. And so I think this is a great way to, like, if you're kind of like mixed between like, oh, how should I read the cards? Should I read it like Thoth or the Rider-Waite-Smith? Or should I read it like the Golden Dawn? Or should I read it like the Marseille? You know, like, how am I going to read this deck or whatever? But I would consider myself, like, although I'm like so in love with the Thoth, I feel like I'm more like a hybrid reader. I am very open-minded to everything, and I like to stay open-minded. And I think that's probably why I would be more confident in how I read, is just because I like to take everything, what resonates, and I like to create my own reading style. But this book definitely gave me a lot of confidence with how I was kind of my point of view, and I felt like this was like clarification, like, yes, that's how I should read any deck, is just do what thou wilt. Do what feels good. Okay, 777 is just correspondence on Thoth and Hebrew letters. This is awesome. So I actually went through the whole book and looked at every single thing, and it's like a bunch of gibbers and a bunch of correspondence, table of correspondence. It even talks about like plants and different angels. So the Hermetic Tarot has angelic correspondence, so you could always like use this book for this as well. So I went through this one time, but I think this is always nice to have on hand, just in case like you have one of those days where you feel so energized and you want to you feel like you want to read more. You know, like, this is a great book to have in your library. I would definitely recommend to have for resources, just to have on hand in case you feel ambitious to read it all. I mean, it's pretty quick and easy. I definitely need to go back and reread this over and over, but I get the idea of it. So yeah, it's just a bunch of correspondence, like a little Bible, a little dictionary, I guess. A little dictionary to understand Hebrews, different symbols. It's great. Okay, so last two books. Oh no, I have three more. So these ones are really good. So these are just, this is the Book of Law. This talks about like every man, every woman is a star, the Book of Law, and it's very short and sweet. So that's me and my son. There's this part where it's his original handwriting, and it's not legible. So somebody was nice enough to make it legible. It's really beautiful. It's quick and easy, short and sweet. And yeah, it just talks about how every man, every woman is a star, and to follow your true will, and you're on this planet for a reason, and certain things are planted into your brain for a reason, and there's a reason why you're in this world. And like you could always like think about like sperm, like how there's a million of sperms, like billions of sperms all fighting to get to the egg, right? And then you were the one that won the race already, so you're kind of a winner already if you think about it. I always think about that too. I'm like, wow, that's so cool that I beat all those other millions of sperms. And so you can think of it like that. And it's a really beautiful, short and sweet book. This one's really nice because it's different poetry, different literature of Aleister Crowley. And I like how it has this commentary. So it goes through like this little poetry, but then after right here, it talks about what this meant. And so it's always kind of fun to guess it and then go read this, or just to see if you're correct on this literature and how it's written. And it's really beautiful and it's very meaningful. Okay, last book that I'm reading. This is the one I'm reading right now. This is actually the first book that I purchased of regarding Thoth. It's not the first one I read, but it's the first one I got in the mail. I remember going through it and I was like, whoa, I don't really get this. But I did read it one time and I'm reading it the second time and it's so good this time. Like I finally get it. So this talks about the major arcana. It's very in depth. It goes in the order of the Tree of Life. So that was what confused me the first time I read this book, because it went in the order of the Tree of Life. So it goes the Fool, the Magus, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Star, instead of the Emperor, because the Emperor is number 4. So it goes to the Star, and then it goes to the Hierophant. The Hierophant, and then the Lovers, and the Chariot. And so that was confusing for me because I didn't understand the Tree of Life when I first read it. But now I'm definitely understanding the abyss, this whole idea of the universe and how life works. It's really beautifully written. Also, it talks about astrology. It's really good. So it's very in-depth and very thorough. I've just loved reading it. Definitely one of my top favorite books that I've ever read on tarot in general. And this one's taken me a while to read, well, because Leon and stuff. But this is about 361 pages long. But yeah, so it's very in-depth with the majors. And then now I'm reading about astrology and the decans. The cardinals, the fixed signs, the mutable signs, and then there's like really cool charts in here, like this and this. Let's see, it talks about like the seasons, and yeah, I'm just enjoying my time reading it. Also, I have this on hand, so when she's talking about all of this, I could just look at it, and I love the Maria Tarot for this because it's really handy to have, and it's very in depth too. So yeah, I'll let you guys know when I finish it, but so far it's so good. I know it's going to be a favorite. It's probably my second favorite other than the Book of Thoth. This is definitely like my second favorite, and then this would probably be my third favorite book. And then I love 777, another Aleister Crowley books, but I plan to keep reading more books of like Aleister Crowley's literature just because I want to, and I'm curious. And but yeah, I reread a few of these books already, and I feel like this is pretty much enough. Google's a great resource. Like I said, getting an astrology deck. This is the Live and Altar Oracle, the Witch's Wheel. Learning, the seasons of the witches. You can go by the phases. which is cool. I got this printout on the Kickstarter of the Live and Alter Oracle. So the Live and Alter Oracle has this on in the guidebook, but it's not legible. It's very blurry. So I went to their Kickstarter and found this, and it was very like clear and crisp. So I screenshot it and printed this out. So now I have like this big chart of the wheel of the seasons. I don't know, we call them quarters or physical years or just seasons. And so they all kind of work together. Oh yeah, Oracle the Radiant Sun would be a really good oracle to use. So my favorite beginner astrology deck is the Numinous Astral Oracle, because it has a bunch of keywords. And then this is Heavenly Bodies that I really love too, because it's like short and sweet, but it's very intuitive. So these are always nice to have. Like, let's say if you got the Three of Wands. So you could go look at the Sun card, read about the Sun. The Sun is about self. Aries is a fire sign. Aries are the first zodiac sign. They are very confident. They are leaders. They're the Rams. 3 is about expression. So you could look at the numerology. And you can see how very fiery and bright this card is. So it could be just about like having confidence to start expressing yourself, expressing your projects, talking about your projects more. And you could see how the lotus flowers are kind of like bloomed, but not fully bloomed, but they're like there. So it's like you're starting to spread your wings out a little bit more. And then you can go look at the Oracle, the Radiant Sun. You could find the Sun in Aries, and you could read that keyword. You can go in the guidebook in the Oracle, the Radiant Sun, and read about that archetype of the Sun in Aries and read about that. And so that's kind of cool. I think that's it. I still have a headache. Let me know what else you guys want me to talk about. But I have more stuff that I want to talk about. It's just a lot of stuff. But anyways, let me know what you think. Give this a like. Make sure you subscribe and comment below. Okay, thank you. Bye.